Today the world received the one thing we've been missing all this time: another picture of the Obamas. Yes, Barack Hussein and Michelle LaVaughn Obama were recorded in the annals of history via the super special portraits being hung in the Smithsonian Museum today, amidst much fanfare and backpatting. The former president and first lady both said a few words, and then the portrait was uncovered. As they're apt to do, the couple both put on quite a show for their adoring fans, and news organizations around the nation lauded the portraits as if they were the first portraits ever to be made. This is curious for a couple of reasons, not the least of which is how different they are from portraits in the past. The artist who rendered these likenesses seemed to put her own spin on the former first couple in a very curious way. The ceremony where these pictures were unveiled was reported on by The Hill, who informs us that, like most things the Obamas do, it was focused around race and how much they love theirs. Portraits of former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama now have a permanent place at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. The ex-commander-in-chief and First Lady looked on as the new works of art were unveiled Monday at the National Portrait Gallery. Nobody in the family tree, as far as I can tell, had a portrait done, the former president said, after eyeing his colorful portrait by artist Kehinde Wiley. I do have my high school yearbook picture, which is no great shakes, he added with a grin. Calling himself an impatient subject who doesn't like posing, the 44th president said that working with Wiley was a great joy. Unlike the portraits of recent presidents, the ones done for former President Obama and his wife weren't as realistic as possible, they were somewhat more impressionistic. Maybe that was intentional, or maybe they just had to adapt to the style because they wanted the artist who had a work history that they liked. While Wiley is typically known for portraying African Americans as famous figures in Western art, his portrait of the 56-year-old Barack Obama does not include an overt art historical reference, according to the Smithsonian. The former president said to Laughs that he attempted to persuade Wiley to use a bit of artistic license with his portrait. I tried to negotiate less gray hair, he said. I tried to negotiate smaller ears. Struck out on that as well. As charming as their interaction seems, the reality is that this was a very pointed move on the part of the Obamas to find someone whose political agenda that they liked. The artist is known for his African American art, which in many cases is him repainting classic pieces with black icons in the prominent positions. You can imagine how much it would delight him to have someone who considers themselves to be African American to be in the Oval Office. As a demonstration of some of his former work, here's one of his earlier pieces. Can you even fathom the rightful outrage of President Bush? President Trump commissioned a painting by someone who depicted a white person holding a black person's head. We had a recent scandal surrounding someone holding up a bloody head, terrorist style, and that woman lost her job, and rightly so. But apparently, if you're a black artist pushing back against white people, it's okay. As disturbing as the artist is, we would be remiss if we didn't address the soft floral background of the image. Where many former presidents had flags or bookcases in the background, Obama seems to be sitting in a garden surrounded by flowers. The efforts to soften his image are getting more and more overt, and it's hard to watch. The flowers seen in the background of the former president's portrait have symbolic meanings. The chrysanthemums are the official flower of Chicago, where he began his political career. His childhood home of Hawaii is represented through jasmine, and African blue lilies serve as a nod to his late Kenyan-born father, Barack Obama Sr. And once again we have it flaunted in front of our faces that our former president has strong ties and loyalties to nations other than the one he was supposed to be serving. But his portrait wasn't the only one on display today. The former First Lady also had a picture revealed today. Overwhelmed, Michelle Obama told the aunts after she took the first gaze at her portrait by Michelle. She said that she was especially touched that particularly girls, and girls of color, who in years ahead will come to this place and they will look up, and they will see an image of someone who looks like them hanging on the wall of this great American institution. We have come so far, the former First Lady continued. And yes, as we see today, we still have a lot of work to do. But we have every reason to be hopeful and proud. Baltimore-based artist Cheryl's interpretation of the ex-executive mansion resident features gray skin tones, a hallmark of the majority of her paintings. Michelle Obama, 54, is seen wearing a dress by fashion designer Michelle Smith's label, Millie. What you represent to this country is an ideal, a human being with integrity, intellect, confidence, and compassion, Cheryl said of Michelle Obama. The artist said she aspired through her painting to show a message of humanity. The former president praised Cheryl's work, quoting, "She captured the grace, beauty, intelligence, charm, and hotness of the women that I love." Once again, the Obamas find a way to embarrass the country with the strange portraits that in no way reflect the best that the country has to offer. By comparison, you can see a couple of earlier presidents' portraits. Even Clinton, the original version, had a dignified picture to show off when he finally vacated the White House, so here's the farewell to the Obamas. They leave us the way they came, flaunting the race, making choices based on the select people in this country that they want to be loyal to, instead of looking out for the country as a whole. May your retirement be long, and your time in front of the cameras be short. H.T. The Hill for the web powered by Zergnet. This figure skating move was too provocative for the Olympics. Olympic figure skater handles wardrobe malfunction perfectly. The real reason you don't hear about LeAnn Rimes anymore. Snowboarder breaks his neck in terrifying crash at Olympics. Here's who Jackie Kennedy thought had her husband killed. This is what's at the center of Bristol Palin's divorce.